Hey guys, how's it going? It's Dalton. Hey, we're back with another pizza video. You know, I think I forget which number it is. And say by the time I put this up, that number will be on the video. But I don't really remember. I got myself a Domino earlier, a Papa John's pizza. Big old plain pizza pie. And you know, this is like a new pan pizza at Papa John's. And that's like a new option. 'Cause I never seen it before. Holy crap, this is gonna be real hot probably. So, you know, sometimes I think of what I'm gonna say before the video, like the story and so that. But you know, we may just, you know, most of the time, I just start eating and start thinking at the same time. And you know, it's a little bit hard to eat and think at the same time. Because usually I'm only thinking about the food. And it's hard to think about anything else. Yeah, I'd say that that's about a 12 out of 10. May even be able to finish his pie in this video. Well, I wonder what we'll talk about this episode. Well, let's talk about some cartoon stories. And that's what we'll talk about. shows. Well, the cartoons was Aqua with Teen Hunger Force. And I really liked that show. And I got all of the DVDs of it. All the ones that came out. And I think there's like about 9 or 10 of them. But then they stopped coming out with the DVDs. And it was pretty disappointing to me. Because I really liked that show. Master Shake is probably my favorite character. I remember seeing that show for the first time. When it came out. And I thought the voice of Meatwad was so funny. And I think the first episode I saw was the episode where Master Shake tells Meatwad that there's like spaghetti in the freezer. Or something like that. He tells him to go in the freezer. Or it might have been the one where he tricks him into going into the dryer. And then he like turns it on. Like another really good cartoon is like SpongeBob SquarePants. I saw that show for the first time. When I was in like 4th grade. And it was a bubble stand episode. And I really liked that show a lot. In that episode, I think that they pay him like a certain amount of money to blow a bubble. And I can't remember what happens. But then, I'd always watch that show all the time. And everyone, I think they still like SpongeBob. I really liked the episode where like Sandy's hibernating and SpongeBob and Patrick sneak in the side of her dome. And like she's like dreaming about like cowboys, about SpongeBob and Patrick are like whispering, like just trying to get her to like get angrier while she's sleeping. You know, they're like saying stuff about Dirty Dan and Pinhead Larry. And then there's a real funny part where Patrick's like, "Who you calling Pinhead?" And like his face looks all different than it usually does in the show. Well, just for old time's sake, let's see if I could get this whole slice of mine out at one time. Bet you I could. You know, sometimes I think about like that there ain't many girls that watch my videos. You know, and I bet you shoving a pizza slice in your mouth don't help any matters any. You know, I really don't know how many of them watch these videos, but I think it's only like 10% or something. But that's what YouTube said. You know, I ought to start wearing like leather jackets and wear like real attractive stuff. Maybe not. Well, let's see. Let's put the whole slice in and see what happens. Okay, we did it. I knew that was a little rough. I'm gonna crack open another Coke. Let's see. You know, not a good cartoon show was Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold was a real good show. Man, there's so many good episodes of that show. You know, and I thought like his grandpa was real funny on that show. Yeah, and his grandma was real funny too. Excuse me. There's one where they're like having a snow day. And at one time, they're all sitting on a bus. And the bus starts skidding. And the bus driver's like, we're all gonna die. And like, I thought it was so funny back in the day. And it still is. And that bus driver was like screaming his head off. They ended up being okay. The bus just like skidded over a little bit of ice and it was okay. And like Arnold's grandma sitting there and she's like real peaceful. And I thought that was real funny because he was like freaking out. And she was like real peacefully looking at it. And it's a good metaphor for life. It's all about the mindset sometimes. You could be in control if you just got the right mindset about certain things and situations. I've been making, a lot more videos, a lot more frequently. And, making some role plays and stuff. Because that's always really fun to do that. I don't want to do only eating videos. Because I got a lot of ideas knocking around up in my head. And the pizza ain't just one of the ideas. There's a lot of other ones too. So I gotta do some of them ideas. It's another good TV show. It's cartoon is definitely South Park. My parents didn't let me watch South Park. I think until I don't even remember. I'd have to go to like my grandma's house and then like turn it on and I don't think they knew what it was. So then I could watch it over there. And I remember they had all kinds of like keychains and stuff. And like all kinds of merchandise for it right when it came out. I always liked that show. What the heck, I'm trying to think of one of my favorite episodes. you know, from like quite a while ago. You know, like, I think Stan's fish, it's like eating people or something. And it like eats Kenny. It's like a goldfish and it like jumps out and pulls Kenny in its bowl. And that's about it for Kenny in that episode. You had a lot of good times watching South Park. Well, guys, I think that's gonna be it for this episode of the Pizza Soda Stories saga. Millions of more videos coming your way, folks. So keep both of your ears open. And keep your eyes listening for those new episodes, new videos. You know, other than that, guys, that's gonna be